Simon, Graham Potter, what's your talk on this? Reportedly emerging as a strong favourite for the Crystal Palace job. Before I ask you whether or not he would be a perfect fit, Roy spoke at the end of the final game in the Premier League about his future and as to whether or not he might carry on at Palace.
I can't say that these days, can I? Because if I say no and then something happens, you're going to say to me, you told us it was a definite no. So what I can tell you is that I'm not prepared to give any definite statements. At the moment, it's not something I'm planning or thinking too much about. I came here to do the job that I've done. I'm very grateful for being given that opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the way the job's gone. So I'm not allowing myself even to think about that type of future because I don't know what I would want to do or not.
So Roy doesn't really know where he stands at the moment. I think the same applies to the likes of Sam Allardyce, who I understand will be meeting at Leeds United on Friday regarding his future. But what about Potter? From the outside looking in, if this is indeed proving to be factual, and I have no reason to think it's not, would he be the perfect fit to go in at Palace?
He'd be a fit, because there's no doubt that he's a progressive manager. We have to step out of the Chelsea situation and look at the body of work that he did at Brighton. Up until the point he steps through the doors at Stamford Bridge, everyone is waxing lyrical about what a great manager he is. That hasn't changed. He's just perhaps not a great manager of great players at this moment in time in his career. Now, going to Palace, there's form in this. Of course, there's the relationship with Brighton. There was form in that before. Alan Mullery managed Brighton and went on to manage Crystal Palace, albeit not particularly successfully. But this guy is an established Premier League manager. The basis of what De Zerbi was able to bounce off was built by Graham Potter. The change from the side that flirted with relegation in a brand of football that Chris Hughton built, that got them out of the Championship, and Chris Hughton must not be forgotten for that because he's the guy that delivered Tony Bloom's dreams of getting out of the Championship into the Premier League and stabilised them there. But Graham Potter took a side and built a team that was very easy to watch and very commendable in terms of its brand of football. So there's no reason why Potter going into Palace isn't a sensible progressive evolution of that football club. They tried to do it with Frank de Boer a few years ago, or his brother Ronald, as I accused him in Qatar of managing the job.
Qatar, you were talking to the wrong de Boer.
And they made the wrong decision because he didn't communicate well. It was the wrong fit, and they took it out early. Now they're going back potentially. I wouldn't be averse to it. I think there's good players at Palace. There's players that are good on the ball, like Eze and Wilfried Zaha, and a few other players there that you can think of. And I think there's a good nucleus of a squad there because obviously Roy has turned up. For whatever reason, Vieira stopped communicating with the players to get a tune from them. Roy comes through the door, and all of a sudden they're a far more expansive side. So I don't think it's a bad fit. If they were to go down that route, I wouldn't be sitting there going, well, we've got a failure from Chelsea. I mean, go look down the list of failures at Chelsea that you could arguably say aren't failures. In this instance, Potter's come unstuck by a whole change of ownership, a whole conceptual set of thinking that isn't necessarily the easiest of environments to work in. But he didn't cover himself in glory, but that doesn't mean that he... And also, Palace are on a relatively established Premier League side. And so, like all managers that subsequently have a situation, some might say Brendan Rodgers going from Liverpool to Celtic to Leicester wasn't an upward progression. Yeah. But notwithstanding it, you rebuild, and Potter could rebuild and at the same time benefit Crystal Palace.
So there you go, Carlton. Maybe it's not as far-fetched as maybe you might think at first when you first hear it. I mean, the foundations are different, though, are they not? At Crystal Palace and Brighton.
Yeah, and I think he'll be allowed a little bit more latitude at Crystal Palace. I mean, I could understand why he went to Chelsea, but I looking at the way he is as a manager, previously at Swansea and at Brighton, it was the wrong move for me. I can see why he did it, right? And he suffered the consequences for doing that. Obviously, he's gone for the financial rewards, and it's a big club with big players, and there was a lot of things going on within that club which were out of his making, right? So now he needs to I wouldn't say rebuild his career, because listen, as a football manager, it's very difficult. Even Jose Mourinho has had his disappointments when he's gone in to take charge of certain clubs. So this has happened to Potter at Chelsea, Crystal Palace. I know he's also been linked with the job at Leicester and the job at Leeds. I think he's a very, very good manager, but I think it's a good fit for Crystal Palace.
A good fit for them. Okay, Carlton, thanks for that. Carlton, you might not be surprised to hear a lot of Sheffield United fans have picked up on the fact that you might think that Wednesday will do back-to-back promotions. Jim, it's a great show. I love it. This is Ian, who calls himself the Premiership Blade. He said, please tell Carlton, thanks for the laugh. I've finished laughing now. There's no chance.
Well, listen, let me tell you, the three teams, everybody says it's going to be and it is a difficult league. I've played in it for one season. It's a difficult league. But of the three teams that got relegated last season, there's only Burnley who's come back up. Norwich and Watford have finished below halfway in the Championship. So if people are saying, well, listen, people were laughing at me saying that Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday would get promoted this season. They've done that. So they can laugh again. And like I tweeted the other day with a cigar, who's laughing now? Might not have won the league as I thought they would do, right? Yeah. But they still got promoted.
I saw you doing that dance with a cigar in your mouth.
You got out from underneath, Carlton. You got out from underneath that situation, so you can put your cigar somewhere else.
No, but Simon, people say, listen, you have bad spells. Yeah. You know, that bad spell there would coincide with Josh Windass being out, who scored 16 goals.
You don't need to justify it.
I know, but Byers was injured and the big centre half. So they had a bad spell. No, the bottom line is the fact. Where is Sheffield Wednesday? Back in the Championship.
There you go. And maybe this time next year you'll be saying they're in the Premiership. You never know. What we know is it's 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.